What does your name mean? Does your name have any sort of significance? Perhaps some of you are named after people, family members, aunts. My nanny was named after the lady that helped my nanny give birth, back in the day when you had your baby at home. And so her middle name was the lady's surname, which I just thought was a really bizarre thing. But from that point in my life, I realised names are actually really special and really important. And as a young girl, you can imagine my name wasn't and isn't very popular or common. And I was always hunting the baby books. Where's my name? What does it mean? I need to know that this is like a name. Or do you remember you used to get things in the shops? You probably still get them, like little sticker books with your name on them, or little bottles, little water bottles with their name. And I never got one with my name on it. But one day in Newton Arts Shopping Centre, there was someone there with the big thick headbands in the 90s that are now back in fashion. And someone was able to write my name on this headband. And this was like my most precious thing for the whole of that summer. I can remember wearing this headband every day with my name on it. And so I guess I've been fascinated by names for a while. And for us, when you find out you're pregnant and you have to start then and make the list of names. And when we were thinking of what we were going to call Carrigan, I had all the weird and wonderful names, and Andy had the nice, normal, sensible names, and we had to try and meet in the middle. But for us, Carrigan is a family name, and so we named her after my grandparents. And so there's something really special about names. And the video reminded us that Isaiah's name meant God will save. And there's different names in the Bible that mean different things. And so traditionally, when Isaiah 9 is maybe a Christmas passage, I want us to think about those names of Jesus, about the wonderful Counselor, mighty God, everlasting Father, and Prince of Peace. How amazing and earth-shattering this message was for the people of that time. Jesus was coming. Well, the Messiah was coming. Someone amazing was coming, and he would be a great light. A light that would shine in the darkness, not just for the Jewish people, but for the Gentiles, for slaves, for free, for male, female, young and old. Jesus was coming to say everyone is welcome, everyone is loved in God's kingdom. So I want us just to think about those 4 names briefly this morning as we try and unpack what it might mean for us today. These verses were given at a time when the people were under a lot of terror. There would have been attack from the Assyrians. And so the Jews would have been feeling in the minority. They would have been feeling pressure. They would have been feeling attack. These verses were there to give them hope that even though the darkness they were experiencing now might feel overwhelming, that there was something greater coming. There was this great light. And when it talks about the words wonderful Counselor, wonderful, we might just say, oh, how are you? Oh, I'm wonderful. Might not always mean that we're on top of the world. We throw it away as, oh yeah, it's wonderful, it's great. Wonderful in the Hebrew scripture would have been the best thing ever. The most amazing, wonderful, overwhelmingly great thing. And a counselor, not like someone we might imagine today that sits and listens to us and helps us kind of unpack in a therapy way. This would have been talking about a king. It would have been a wise king, someone a bit like Solomon, someone who was able to give advice and guidance to the people. So not completely detached from our understanding of counselor, but a king that would have had a power and authority to give guidance, to lay out some sort of action plan for the people. So Jesus is our wonderful counselor. Jesus is our incomprehensible king. And this was written 800 years before Jesus was ever born. So in these times, they still had a long way to go. There was still this big promise that God had to fulfill. And then Jesus, when he comes, he says these words, and we can read this in Matthew chapter 11. He says, "Are you tired? Are you worn out? Come to me. Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Keep company with me, and you'll learn to live freely and lightly. And when I think of that, I think of one of the next phrases we're going to think about. We're not doing them in order, sorry. Prince of Peace. When I think of coming to Jesus and leaving all my burdens, I think of replacing those with God's peace. Prince of Peace. The prince tells us that he would be the son of a king, a royal son, a royal part of the royal family, prince. But the peace bit, the peace reminds us that actually the experience that the Jewish people were having at this time of being under attack, this was going to be the opposite, really. It's the opposite of attack. When you look up peace in the dictionary, it talks about things like freedom from attack and disturbance. Then I looked up and I thought, okay, I want to have a little, go with me on my train of thought here. I wonder what anxiety is described as. And when I looked up anxiety, the opposites of this, and this is what the dictionary gave me as the top sort of 10 words that were the opposite of anxiety. Belief, blessing, calm, certainty, contentment, wait for these ones, faith, joy, peace, trust, security. These are all the opposites of anxiety. And so I wondered, when I look at the word peace, do I see the opposite of anxiety? Do I see faith and joy and peace, contentment and calm? And this is what Jesus is coming to offer. Everything that is the opposite of anxiety. Everything that is the opposite from attack and disturbance. A freedom and a lightness. And the Hebrew word for peace is shalom. And shalom doesn't just mean peace, like peace and quiet and leave me alone. It means a real deep peace that heals our whole body, a wholeness that comes from God that can heal us physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Jesus desires not just to bring peace to one bit of us, but to all of us. And so when Jesus brings all that peace, it replaces any of the anxiety. Jesus offers himself as the Prince of anxiety. He offers himself as the Prince of Peace. And how he's able to do this is because he is mighty God and everlasting Father. Jesus comes and came in great power. He came as one with God. He came with the power to overcome evil. He came so that he could transform and turn the horrible life situations we might experience on their head. So he came with that might and that strength of God, with that authority of God the Father. And he is everlasting. He is eternal. He is without end. That passage or that video earlier in Isaiah linked forward to actually bits of Revelation, and they link together, where there will be no more pain, no more tears, no more crying. God will come and take it all away. When it talks about Jesus as an everlasting Father, it talks about the love of the Father. It talks about the love that comes and overflows, that has no limits. We talked about the last time I was here, the width and the depth and the height and the breadth of God's love. No limits to that love. And so all four of these fit together because Jesus is the wonderful counselor, that great king, but the king who has a plan for his people, the king who loves his people with an everlasting love, the king who is mighty and strong, and the king that comes to bring a deep, whole peace. And then we read that Psalm 91, a psalm of protection. When God promises that he will be a refuge and a fortress. That under his wings, that lovely image of being under God's wings, we can find protection and care. God desires for us to come to him. That's why Jesus said in Matthew 11, come to me. Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. I will give you peace of heart and mind and soul and body. So these names, these different ways of understanding Jesus the Messiah are really important for us, not just at Christmas, but today and here and now. And as we think of that great rescue plan of Jesus, our rescuer, what is it that we might need God to help us with today? Maybe there is something really big that you need God to rescue you from. Maybe it's just a reminder that God is that deep peace that is with you when the storm comes, and you can stand in that strength of God, knowing that He is with you. Maybe it's a reminder for all of us that we just need to be ready because Jesus is coming back. Scripture promises us the rescuer is coming back again. And will we be ready? Will we be ready for what is to come? To that time when there's no tears, only light, only hope in Jesus.